Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
I know so many people have commented on that flag. I will work on making a new video where the flag is not tattered. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I will find a better flag. The real purpose of that is for us to listen to the national anthem. So I'm so sorry. Forgive me for that. I will fix it. I promise.
There's some
What's up,
questioning.
everybody? What'd you say?
Got Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, Texas, Illinois. Wow, my goodness. Nebraska. Everybody. Idaho. Hello. Stephanie willing to admit she's from California. No, that's all right. That's all right.
Rude.
All
It's not
right.
her fault.
I make my pilgrimage out to Madera, California every once in a while, and it's beautiful. Man, I wish I could stand to live in a state like California. It's gorgeous. It really is. Kentucky, New York. There's another one. It's too bad New York has become what it
Hey, we
is.
have to have good people in New York too.
I'm
Okay,
saying that's right.
we do. We
When I
do.
was ready to quit law school, I had a pastor tell me we have to have good Christian lawyers too. So,
Amen.
we got
Exactly.
Indiana. We're going to talk about you folks in Indiana, North Carolina,
California. I
beautiful.
love it.
Pennsylvania, home of Doug Mastriano, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. I really like Doug. I think he's a good guy.
You guys are so awesome. Look
Connecticut,
at our viewership tonight.
Minnesota. My
Man.
goodness, this is fantastic. Hey, everybody. Wow. And my favorite,
Okay,
South Carolina. Had to put that in there.
so we were going to go live last night and then we decided we were going to have a family night. So that's just what we did. And I'm sorry. Okay. But we're here now and we're going to talk to you about what we were going to talk about last night. So before we get into the thick of it, everybody do me a favor, give me some thumbs up and give me some hearts so we can break algorithms. You guys know the drill. And then after that, share this because I'm telling you right now, Lucas is bringing a teaching message tonight and y'all need to hear it. Okay. I'm just here just to introduce and, conversate. He's here. He's got the tea. So be ready. So, what we're talking about tonight is liberals gaslighting conservatives. And I want to start this conversation by giving you guys a definition of gaslighting because it's not a word that is commonly used by most people except my husband because he just talks like that. He grew up watching Dawson's Creek. Like it raised him. So he uses all these big words all the time. And sometimes I have to pull out a dictionary. I'm not going to lie. So, gaslighting means to manipulate someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. Okay. And then I'm going to go a little bit further and say that this is something that has only recently and within the last, probably the Donald Trump years, been recognized that is something that is happening politically and in the media. In the media all the time. And most of the time that's attached to politics. But, whew. Okay, Lucas, go.
so gaslighting is exactly what the left does to the right all the time with their powerful media. Um, the best example of what gaslighting is and what it's become and how it's used is I believe where the term gaslighting comes from is from a play. I don't know, decades ago, probably before the 1950s. It was either a UK play or somewhere in the United States, but it was English because I remember seeing a video clip back in would have had to have been like 2003 when I was still an undergrad. And there was a guy that um, they had gas lights in their house, and he kept dimming them, cutting the wick or doing something to make the lights dimmer and dimmer. And his wife would say, "Does it seem like the lights are dimmer in here?" And he'd say, "No, they seem fine. Everything's fine." And then they'd
Uh,
get dimmer, and she'd say, something's going on with these lights." And he'd say, "No, there's nothing going on with the lights. The lights are fine." And he may have even had friends come over and say, "No, there's nothing wrong with the light." I mean, the goal was to make her seem crazy.
think she was nuts.
And I
Right.
don't remember his ultimate goal in the play, and I don't remember how it turned out. I'm not even going to get into that, but the point is that's exactly what is happening, right? You know, we've
Yes.
said for years that things that we have always taken for granted as appreciated in the United States. The word patriot is a great example. It used to be that the that the word patriot was just understood. There was hegemonic acceptance that to be a patriot was a good thing. And
Right.
somehow the left has found a way to turn the word patriot into something that is bad or devious or
Or
um,
to go even further, that you having an American flag, holding it, having it on your vehicle is offensive.
yeah, yeah.
What?
And there's so many examples, right? So um, the where we wanted to kind of start this was a discussion of what the Biden Department of Homeland Security is putting out prior to 9/11. So coming up is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Um, I think that prior to 9/11, we had a couple of decades of some ups and downs, but some significant economic ups, some pretty deep social downs. We had some major infighting within the political parties. We had really bad leadership in the Republican Party across the board after Reagan. There was nobody to fill that vacuum. There was nobody to pick up the mantle of small government, rugged individualism is what I would call it. And
Yeah.
so it kind of just went sideways on us. We had George H.W. Bush and we had Bob Dole, and we had these people that just they didn't get it. They didn't understand that it was the time for the United States to support its backbone and the working class was then, and they didn't do it. And so we paid for it for a long time, and we paid for it in so many different ways. Bill Clinton was very strategically strong in his the way that he worked together with Newt Gingrich and a Republican House of Representatives. The Republicans in the House, Newt Gingrich was a great example. He's probably more of a Teddy Roosevelt Republican than I would like. He's changed a little bit over the years. He's become a lot more populist, but the long and short of it was is he was doing everything he could to make this country better for everybody, trying to
Right.
eliminate our budget deficit and balance the budget and do all kinds of things that he promised America he would do with the contract with America. And Bill Clinton got a lot of credit for it. Fine. I mean, whatever. But it really hurt the Republican Party overall on the national scene because there weren't any national Republicans other than Newt Gingrich that were really saying those things, that were being what I like to call American populists. So long story short, um, there we were, and it's ever since that point, I felt like our overall move away from that rugged individualism and patriotism and America is great because it's free and all that stuff that Reagan made popular was on the decline. And then
Yeah.
9/11 happened. And George
Yes.
Bush stood at ground zero and made a great speech, and people felt together for, he had high approval ratings, and everybody was flying the American flag, and patriotism was at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And we had a real opportunity to keep it there. And we fell on our face. We fought socially again amongst ourselves, which I contend the power elite loves to see it, us fighting
Yeah.
among ourselves, and that's what we did, and we fell into a mess and turned right into a situation where in trying to protect the ideals of an economic system that had devolved into crony capitalism. And what I mean is, every time we were making big moves for our economy, it seemed to benefit the wealthy. It's what we're doing right
Mm.
now. It
Shocking.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't benefiting the rest of us. And what ended up happening was 8 years of Barack Obama.
Yep.
And so, we've got some room to go, but the bottom line is 9/11 20-year anniversary coming up. Patriots around the United States firmly believe, and please in the comments disagree with me if you think I'm in left field on this one. But I think that the 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 vast majority of American patriots right now getting ready to celebrate, for lack of a different word, but commemorate is probably the best word. Commemorate 9/11 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
We feel patriotic. We love
Mhm.
America. We love the what she stands for, what she has always stood for, the ability to pick up and dust ourselves off when bad things happen, like Pearl Harbor and 9/11, and do better,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what does the Biden DHS see? They see that, oh my gosh, this is another opportunity to just gaslight the crap out of the right and say, we're hearing chatter that they're all going to blow stuff up and be crazy lunatics. They're mad that Trump hasn't been reinstalled as president. And so, they're all talking about how they're going to take matters into their own hands and bring back the gallows and on and on and on and on and on. And this is what I've been saying. You guys that have heard me before, and I challenge any of you folks that are Q followers to come on here, come on the show, and challenge me on this because I've said it since January 7th from my hospital bed. These QAnon folks are out of their minds. And I firmly believe that it's a leftist conspiracy. I really do. I believe that the liberal media is promoting this QAnon garbage to use the fallacy of composition and make it look like all Republicans are nuts. That's what
Mm.
I think. And the Biden DHS is egging it on and encouraging it with this nonsense about how they think 9/11 is going to go crazy because Republicans across the country are going to start a civil war or some kind of revolution. It's hogwash. It's nonsense. And let me just say this. I'm going to get a little animated here because I'm a little, well, let me just say it this way. And I hope everybody sees this video. When the time
Share.
comes for revolution, when the time comes for revolution, we don't need somebody named Q to tell us. Patriots around this country are ready, willing, and able to take this country back when the time comes. And I've been in the room with pretty significantly high politicians and heard them say that they know what the watermark is. They know what the point of no return looks like. It's messing with our Supreme Court. It's preventing us from having an ability to petition our government. It's basically exercising our First Amendment rights.
Yep.
And we protect those with the Second Amendment. So they know what they can and can't do, and we know without Q when the time is right for revolution, and it ain't today and it ain't 9/11. I said when Trump when everything happened and we knew that the election was bogus, it was
Mm-hmm.
our opportunity to use that information and that data to fix the damn broken process. It was
Amen.
not our opportunity to overthrow our government. We can
No.
still be successful. We still have the majority. 60% of this country is center right, period. They don't want the left running things. They don't believe in these free handouts till kingdom come. They don't want runaway inflation. They know better. And we'll
They
take it
don't want
back and we'll
government
fix it.
control either. None of them. They're
So
like, get out of my house, get off my property. I don't want anything to do with you. A higher percentage of people are that way. Trust me.
so I'm over it. I'm over the Q stuff. If you want proof, if you're sitting there thinking, well, some of that Q stuff's really good, and I don't know, Lucas might be off his rocker on this one. You want proof? Pull up Yahoo, yahoo.com, any day of the week. Scroll down for 10 seconds and you'll find a QAnon story. Every day, every
Mm.
single day. Why? I have no idea. I could care less, couldn't care less. I don't click on the crap. They publish it nonstop from Hagerman or whatever her name is, the moron from Maggie, what's her name from the New York Times or wherever she's at these days. They publish her QAnon crap nonstop. You don't see it on the populist press. You don't see it on the conservative treehouse. You don't see it on real clear politics. You don't see it in any of the Bongino, anywhere that I go. If they talk about
Or
Q, they're like,
primetime
man,
patriots.
or primetime patriots. I see it in the leftist blogosphere. I see it on left-wing news sites. That's where I see it. So you tell me that I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think that that's the number one effort to gaslight and use the fallacy of composition against the right and against Republicans and against American patriots every single day. It's this nonstop gaslighting about how we're all crazy, we're all out to overthrow the government. Have seen, Kaylee? Have you seen the video of the guy at the Capitol that starts saying we got to march, we got to go in and take back our building, and that's our
Oh
house,
yeah, and the
and they
Patriots are
start,
like, "You're out of your head."
you're a Fed, and they start chanting Fed, Fed,
Yeah.
Fed, Fed. Real patriots knew the minute that these people started going at the police, this isn't the right way. This isn't the way to do things. We knew that we were going to hold every single person in that house, in that Capitol, accountable at the ballot box if they didn't
Yep.
do the right thing. And guess what? They
Yep.
didn't. So did
Yep.
Republicans this week when they passed the infrastructure bill. Several of them absolutely did the wrong thing, and they know it. Now they think they're playing some kind of Machiavellian game and they're going to win in the end. And Mitch McConnell is so smart; he's got it all figured out. Yeah, if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. So, anyway, all right, rant over. Let's move on.
I don't even know what we're moving on to. I'm just like trying to process you having a meltdown right now.
I just want to find a somebody please find me a Q person or a liberal or a leftist statist, I don't care. Find me one and bring them on the show.
They won't.
I had my good buddy Joe Cecil finally willing to come on here. He came on for a show, and even he, and I know this guy, he's willing to argue with me about anything. But even Joe was more interested in talking about things we agreed about. Speaking of
Right.
which, any of you who watched that show, what's one of the things we agreed about? We agreed that forgiving student debt was not the answer, but allowing students who can prove that that debt is a significant burden should be able to discharge that in Chapter 7 bankruptcy if it's appropriate, if it follows
I
our
agree.
existing law, right?
Yep.
And what are they doing? John Cornyn and Dick Durbin just was it Tuesday, Wednesday came out with a bill in the Senate to do exactly that. So see, Joe and I were ahead of our time.
Can I just say this because I need to highlight this comment? I am just tired of politicians in general. I want people in these positions that are just people. They're just me and they're just you. They're just the viewers that watch Primetime Patriots. I am done with politicians. I'm done with lifers. I think all of them need to be voted out. We need to have more people that get in that are from the We the People group that believe in the Constitution of the United States, that have a lick of sense whatsoever, and that cannot be bought by the government in Washington, D.C. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, totally agree. And how do we do that? It starts at the local level, and social media should open this up for a lot of us. We find these people who are willing to go in front of a school board and quit their job with a passionate speech, clearly love what they do, but clearly put in a position where they're not going to pick their job over their morals.
Right.
Fantastic people. We see these people, they go viral for 10 minutes and then they fall off the planet. So,
Mm,
we've got to do a better job, all of us. I mean,
it's true.
everybody tells me all the time, well, you should run. Well, you're right. And you know what? If I could afford to feed my family and run all at the same time, I'd love to. But unfortunately, like I tell everybody else, money is a tool, and it's a tool that's necessary to get into politics. And,
It's
it just is what it is. The time will come, but we can do what we're doing, right? We can get up here,
absolutely.
we can talk, we can even if you just reached 1,000 people with a video like this and they talk to 3 or 4 people, you start to get word out there that it's okay, for example, to recognize that QAnon is a gaslighting liberal tool, period. And it's okay to understand that all of the left trying to convince you you're crazy because you don't want to take an unapproved vaccine, they're
Yeah.
foolish. I'm
Yeah.
vaccinated and I had COVID. And I can tell you more about the therapeutics and the vaccine and all the other stuff than most of the people that I know, including probably most of the doctors. I know about immune response. I know about a lot of stuff. I don't know everything, but I know enough to be educated on the matters. And I'm still going to sit here and tell you I have no right to force anybody to do anything. Period. I mean, it's we're going to talk about Amy Coney Barrett in a minute and the decision she made and why she made it. And I think that that's very um, illustrative of, or it's a good demonstration, I guess is the best way to say it, of how this works. You have rights in your bodily autonomy and your life, liberty, and property according to the 14th Amendment, incorporated through the Fifth Amendment to the states. So you have certain unalienable rights that we've guaranteed through the Constitution, right? But they're always rights that exist on balance against other things, like other people's rights. Okay? So they're never 100% guaranteed, any circumstance, can't change it, no way, no how. For example, a forced blood draw. Guy gets drunk, driving home from the bar, kills a family of 7. Goes to the hospital because he's got an injury. Hospital is taking care of him. Meanwhile, his liver is metabolizing all the alcohol. If they don't do a blood draw on that man while he's getting treated in the hospital, they may never be able to prove that he got drunk and killed that family of 7. So he
Right.
should just walk away scot free because we can't prove it because he's getting medical care.
No.
Nonsense. Period. So on balance, doing a forced blood draw of him while he's getting taken care of in the hospital, pretty damn good idea. You want to argue
Mm.
with me about that? Come on here and argue with me. I'm willing to hear it. I'll always hear out anybody that makes good sense. But I've heard enough constitutional law over my lifetime to know that everything involves a balance. And in this case, I don't think that an unapproved, brand new vaccine, whether it was developed under Donald Trump or Jesus Christ himself, although I think he's a much better healer than any of these vaccines or therapeutics,
I
but
would take any vaccine developed by him. I'm just saying.
I really don't care who developed this thing. If you don't want to take it, you shouldn't have to take it. Period.
Do you see this
There's ways
comment?
around it.
Should we just ignore it or
Wait, I'm out if you're vaxxed. I'm vaxxed. Sorry, I guess you're out. I don't think the
I'm not.
vaccine
This is my proof of vaccination
I
right
don't think
here.
the vaccine affected my brain. Let me tell you why I took the vaccine. You people probably chewing on your popcorn, leaning forward in your chair to hear this one. I don't particularly think that an unapproved vaccine that's essentially novel, as novel as this coronavirus that escaped from the Wuhan lab, I don't think that it's the best thing for everybody. But I know that many people in my family and in my sphere of influence are going to be challenged to take it, or they may need to take it, or they may think they need to take whatever. And I'm the kind of guy who's always willing to be the guinea pig simply because I feel like I can handle it. And I can't handle everything. I'm not saying I'm invincible, but I have elderly people in my family that if I felt like the vaccine was an option for them and it may help them in one way or another, and we're in the middle of seeing that that has come to fruition in our own family, I want to know what kind of side effects are you going to get? You know, I got the Pfizer vaccine. I had a 12-hour fever and I run high fevers, so it was not pleasant. I'm just going to tell you, both shots, I had a pretty decent fever. Um, I did it so I could travel for work without having to worry about being challenged by my employer. And I didn't want the battle. Plus, I also wanted to make sure it was safe for my family if we get to the point of having the family taking it. And I did all that. And, you know, I have my thoughts about it. I don't think it's for everybody. I think that there's more development to happen, but it's based on a technique and a science that's emerging. It's been emerging for years. It's been designed to attempt to help fight cancer. I've followed it for much longer than it's been used to develop this vaccine. I've been following it for probably 10 years. Different news coming out of Israel every other year about how this type of vaccination process could help cancer patients. And I read everything. I try to try to digest everything I can. I read the Journal of the American Medical Association all the time. Ask Kaylee. So I felt like I knew enough about it to make an informed decision, and I did. I don't
And he
think it.
didn't tell me.
Yeah, I did. I left
Why?
that part out.
Because you all can see my shirt. I was not down with that decision. I was not happy about that decision. I discovered that decision on my own, and he got an earful.
But can't I mean, why can't we all understand that I have a gun too? But I
But
didn't have a gun for years, and I personally took a case to defend the right to open carry in Kansas City on behalf of the Kansas Libertarian Party, the Libertarian Party of Kansas. Me. I got the Light of Liberty Award that year from the Libertarian Party of Kansas because I challenged cities in and around the Kansas City area on the ability to open carry. I didn't have a gun at the time, but I value that right, right? So
well,
I value the right for you to not have to get the vaccine, whether I got it or not. It doesn't affect,
exactly.
it doesn't affect how I
Exactly.
see what's happening in the United States and people being forced to do things that are against their,
Right.
in my opinion,
You
their
do
14th Amendment
you.
rights.
What we
Period.
should all be doing is protecting our freedom of choice. Period. I don't care what your choice is. If you want to get it, get it. If you don't, don't. But that should be your choice and your right. I'm not getting it. It's not happening. He got it. It's America, people. Should be free. Still your choice.
Let's see.
Whatever.
Somebody asked a question about what I do. I work for Charles Koch. As funny as
Oh,
that sounds, no, he's in my upline, way, way, way up there. I can almost see him from my office chair. But I do. I manage a bunch of project managers and
manufacturing.
we do manufacturing stuff. I try to make things better for people, make it easier for people to do their jobs. So that's the long and short of it. So
And yes, the X was to your question. No, I have not gotten the jab. No, not anytime in the near future am I planning on getting it. So,
and we aren't getting our kids vaccinated or any of that
mm,
nonsense either. So
mm,
don't.
no,
I
because I
mean,
have a say in that one, and that ain't happening.
listen, we've had COVID. My doctor flat told me you have a natural immunity. You're good probably for a minimum of a year, just from the way that your T cells and B cells and hell, I don't even know cells will attack the virus the next time it's in your body. He told me flat out, you don't need to get it. So I didn't get it because I needed to get it. I get it. I got it because I wanted to basically be a guinea pig for folks that I know. I wanted to know of the vaccines that I researched. J&J was out for me. Moderna, I just don't trust the company at all. Pfizer, I really don't trust that much either, but I was like, that's the lesser of the three evils for now. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did. So if you don't like it, that's up to you. I don't fault you for that. So,
Are you
no,
having a
but I
doctor?
do know I have a doctor that I went to high school with. So, Dusty Samuels, if you're out there watching, Dr. Samuels, she did mention to me a few months back that boosters were probably going to be a thing at some point. I mean, that just makes sense in immunology. I don't know enough to know if they're there yet or what, but no, I'm not interested in any boosters. I won't be taking any boosters. I don't think I need any of that. I don't think I needed the vaccine, frankly. Um, but I know firsthand that COVID is serious. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have any risk factors or there's a particular reason why you might be in major harm if you got COVID and you haven't had it yet, which would be really strange because I think most people have probably had it. um, it's something worth considering. But that's up to you. It's your choice. Masks
Absolutely.
don't work. End of discussion. So let's not even
We're
get
not
into
even
that.
going to talk anymore about that. That's
Yeah.
just that, and that's on period.
So Amy Coney Barrett, let's pivot. Let's talk about her. Some more gaslighting.
Yeah, way to start a bunch of crap in the comments. Okay. I just
No
really
kidding, right?
appreciate that. Thank you so
Yep.
much for.
Yep. I know how much people love all that talk. Hey, it's your thing, folks. It's whatever. Feel free to leave comments. I'll respond to any I can, and you're always more than welcome to come on here and tell me something I don't know about these vaccines and everything else. I'd love to hear it. But Amy Coney Barrett, what happened with Amy Coney Barrett, Kaylee?
Well, she signed for the, what was it, for the infrastructure?
No, she held
No, it
the
wasn't for, no, we're talking about um the college in
the
Illinois or
Indiana.
Indiana.
Yep, it was
Just
the.
say it.
You want me to just say it?
Yeah,
You're reading the
I'm not
comments.
here.
It's not fair. She's sidetracked by the comments.
I
Okay, so here it is. First of all, I guess, do I have an underlying condition? Yeah, I'm about 60 pounds overweight. I guess that's my underlying condition. According to all my other blood work and everything else, I'm very healthy and I don't have high blood pressure or any of that, but I'm a little too much overweight. I'm not enormous, but I'm too much overweight. So that's my underlying factor, health factor. So Amy Coney Barrett was asked. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Supreme Court is in session from October to June every year, July, whatever. I don't know. They take a couple months off in the summer. That seems to be the cool thing to do. It's what all the cool kids are doing, taking the summers off. They got to spend time in the Hamptons or wherever it is that they spend time. So
yeah,
they're out of
since they work
session
so
right
hard.
now. And there was a federal case brought by 8 students from the University of Indiana challenging the university's mandate to get the vaccine mandate. All right. Um, the federal judge ruled against their motion for temporary injunction. It was upheld, I think, at the appellate court level and went to the Supreme Court. And Amy Coney Barrett, when the court is out of session, is the emergency court representative for the Seventh Circuit, which is the circuit that Indiana falls into. And so she has the option of either agreeing with the appeals court or taking the case to the full court for hearing. She chose to let the appeals court order stand. The appeals court order held in favor of denying. This is important. Everything in the law is important. Words matter. Ask Justice Scalia when you get to heaven and you meet him. Um, they denied the students' petition for or motion for a temporary injunction on this vaccine mandate. So, what does that mean? That means the vaccine mandate at the University of Indiana stands. What does that mean? Well, that means that at the University of Indiana, you have to tell somebody you've gotten vaccinated. You have to wear a mask whether you've been vaccinated or not, and you can get a religious or medical exemption to being to the vaccine and not get vaccinated. But at that point, you're going to have to probably get tested once or twice every week to make sure that you're negative before you can come on campus. Now, yes, I chose my words carefully and I said you can tell them that you've been vaccinated. Why is that important? Because the state of Indiana, like many other states, passed a law restricting anyone from the state inside the state from using vaccine
Passports.
passports. So proving you're vaccinated, right? So the University of Indiana asked the Attorney General of Indiana for an opinion, which states do frequently, and the Attorney General said you can require the mandate or you can require the vaccine, you can mandate the vaccine, but you cannot use vaccine passports. So essentially, you can require the vaccine, but you can't prove it. You can't ask for proof that anybody's been vaccinated. And
Right.
moreover, you have to offer a medical and religious exemption to the mandate. So essentially, they gutted the mandate right out of the gate. They have one, but it's basically gutted. You just tell people you're vaccinated. Who the heck's going to check on you? They don't have the right to go to
Exactly.
your doctor. And if they
Yeah.
can't require you to have a passport, then guess what? There's nothing there. There's no there. And in
Yeah.
fact, 7 of the 8 students who applied for the temporary injunction qualified for an exemption. Now, none of that changes the fact that on its substance, the mandates probably run afoul of the 14th and 5th Amendments, period. Okay? I just want you to start from that perspective. So, why did Amy Coney Barrett rule the way she did? Because under the law, she was not allowed to decide the substance of the case. The way a temporary injunction works is if you are asking the judge to temporarily rule that the in this case, the rule that you're challenging is restricted from being used while the case is pending. You're asking the court, don't allow them to enforce this law while this case is running through the process and pending, while the case is being decided on its merits, the actual facts of the case on its merits. In this case, the federal judge said, no, I'm not going to do that because under injunction law, I have to view the facts in the light most favorable to the non-moving party. So in this case, the university. And in doing so, I have to hold that this vaccine will achieve their reasonable ends, their rational ends of keeping students safe. And if I view this in the light most favorably to the university, I have to find in the university's favor and deny your temporary injunction. And the only thing Justice Barrett was asked to do is look at the opinion and decide, did the judge follow the law in the way she viewed this temporary injunction and the way she ruled on the law in the temporary injunction, and she had to say yes. So I hate to tell you, I'm as constitutionally to the right or libertarian as you're going to get, as textualist as they come. But I would have had to do some major gymnastics, some textualist gymnastics, some originalist constitutionalist gymnastics to find in favor of these students myself. And I certainly wouldn't have done so knowing that they could just say, yeah, I got vaccinated. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
Right? So
but in the vein of what we're talking about,
mm-hmm.
As soon as that happened, it was
She's evil.
Awful.
Yep. The first person to stand up and say Amy Coney Barrett is a shill for the left was probably QAnon, whoever the hell that is. Right? I mean, immediately the media is putting out story after story after story. The right is hates Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett is evil. We hate Amy Coney Barrett. She's this, she's that. She's on and on and on and on and on. Listen, Chief Justice Roberts now had to do some major work to get that label. All right. So in Kelo, I couldn't fault the man for the way he ruled in Kelo. And I explained that to Kaylee the other day because he was applying rational basis scrutiny. And as long as that's how we view a takings case, that's how it had to fall. Now, I'm not going to get into that with you guys. I'm not going to put you through a constitutional law class. If you want to do that, Hillsdale offers a really, really good one. But I'm just going to tell you, there wasn't much he was going to do to change that. Secondly, in the Obamacare case, the ACA case, I think he did mess up, but I think he did it as a pragmatist. I think pragmatically, he thought that it wouldn't cause as much trouble to rule the way he did as it would to go the other way. However, then when he ruled in favor of mandating the certain taxes on not having or allowing that penalty in the taxing and spending clause and on, there's no way for me to explain this without getting too technical for this show. My point is, he earned it. He earned the label. Amy Coney Barrett has not. So if you're in the comments right now, and I haven't scrolled down to see, but if you're in the comments right now saying, oh my gosh, Amy Coney Barrett is the most evil thing, she hasn't earned that label yet. Trust me. I've read more Amy Coney Barrett writing than anybody that's watching this show, anybody that's making comments. Trust me. And I can tell you, that's not her. All right. She hasn't been put in a position yet to influence the court. She hasn't been put in a position yet to influence a decision. Let her get there. And if she goes in the wrong direction, I will be the first to let you know. And that's a promise. I'll be here bright-eyed and bushy-tailed the first time that happens. Do I think she should have taken the Antrim County case or the Georgia case on the election and been part of the group of 4 that took the case? Yes, absolutely. Do I know she wasn't? No, I don't. There's no way for me to know that. All I know is that the court didn't have 4 people. Now, I guess there may have been one example where 3 people dissented, and she wasn't one of them. So in that case, yeah, she failed. And if that's the case, I apologize. You're probably right. She screwed up there. So maybe that's strike 2. I don't know. Maybe it's strike 1. Give her a minute. But I promise you, she's not this Chief Justice Roberts type that everybody thinks she is. we have a 3-3-3 court. We have 3 conservatives, pretty conservatives. You can pretty much count on them. 3 liberals that ain't ever going to change. I think it's Dan Bongino that says his theory is that all that most Republicans are really Democrats, but no Democrats are really Republicans. And that's the way it is with the court. The 3 conservatives are mostly conservative. They're mostly constitutionalist, and you can count on them. But the 3 liberals are 100%. They ain't ever going to change. They're going to come down on the left side of anything that's close ever, forever. And the 3 in the middle that I would say are Kavanaugh, Roberts, and Barrett. I don't know. I think Roberts is a liberal. I really do. I think it's 4-5, and I think to get the 5, we have to be pragmatic in the middle to get Barrett and Kavanaugh. That's just my opinion. So, whew. Goodness gracious, that was a mouthful.
I'm done.
You and me both. I can't believe it's been 45 minutes. Yeah, it's all pent up in me, man. I read this stuff all week long on my lunch breaks and, in the morning and the evening and so on and so forth. And I throw it all out here, on these shows. And I understand there's people on here that are pretty upset about how I feel about the court and about Coney Barrett. And I'm telling everybody to hold their horses and yada, yada, yada. I guess all I can tell you is if you know me, and a lot of my liberal friends know good and well, I'm no wannabe liberal that's hiding behind the idea that I'm some kind of conservative. I've been ideologically hardcore conservative in the past. And I'm just not anymore. Just is what it is. So, Lucas, can public schools give our children the vaccine without parents' consent? Absolutely not. And if they do that, you need to let somebody know. You need to hire an attorney. There's some attorneys typing messages in these comments. I know who you are. I'm not going to out you in front of everybody if you don't want to be outed, but you guys know, and you can feel free to agree with me on that if you want to. Nobody should be giving your kid anything without your knowledge and your consent, with a few exceptions. And imagine that it has to do with abortion. And I'm not going to get into it, but there is a judicial bypass where they can do it without your knowledge, but it requires a judge and it requires some other things. And again, we're not going to get into that. Jessica has a question coming. Who are the 3 conservative judges? That would be Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, which I'm reading his book right now, and it looks pretty good. I like it so far. And who am I missing? Justice Thomas, Clarence Thomas. How the heck can you miss him? I have read his book, and
Love him.
his book is sitting somewhere over here.
We need a full Supreme Court of Clarence Thomases.
I would love that. That he's a man of few words, but he's also not. There are certain things that he has moved away from being ideologically conservative on, and I got to give the man credit. He knows what it takes to build yourself from nothing because he came from nothing.
I really like
give him a lot of credit for that. I frankly, I believe that Amy Coney Barrett is certainly much more conservative than not, and she hasn't had her time to shine on that, but that'll come. I've never had faith in Kavanaugh, but I hope that he's been beaten up enough by the left that certainly he won't try to impress them anymore, but I could be wrong on that. Okay. Every school that I've seen, if you're talking about schools, every school I've seen has an exception for mask wearing. And all you really need is to contact your school and let them know there's an issue there. If they tried to get into it with you to get a doctor's note or some kind of nonsense, there's doctors out there that are more than willing to give you a note to keep your kid from wearing a mask. They know the damn things don't work. So, Janet, you're very welcome. I do this for you guys anytime. I love coming on here. Tammy, I'm glad. I think everybody should have a basic understanding of the law. I totally agree, and I wish more people did. It's complex, but then it's not. I mean, it's kind of like I've worked on cars before. I'm not a mechanic. I'm certainly not certified. There's a lot of things I could figure out how to do by watching YouTube, but there's a lot of things I still don't know. And I feel like everybody should be that interested in the things that control their lives. They said there was no exceptions. Well, I would I would challenge the they in that case. Certainly, I mean, and I've had to do this before because I've had to send some nasty letters to schools before on behalf of clients. Sometimes you just have to keep escalating till you get a different answer. I
Mhm.
mean, and at the end of that escalation, if there is no answer that makes sense and you don't want your kid in there wearing a mask, do whatever you can to take them out of the school. And this is why I've said for years we got to have things like school choice. We got to have vouchers. We got to have
Absolutely.
some kind of competition with these schools so they're not doing
Mhm.
this. I mean, not every school district can have a superintendent like ours that cares about liberty, that understands that it's causing more problems than it's ever going to be worth. So in those districts, I would say get as involved as you can, get your kids out if you can, do what you can. And having done all to stand therefore.
Amen.
Take your punishment, take your medicine, or make a compromise. We You can't sit here and believe you're going to go through life without ever making a compromise. You just are. You're going to have to. I have. Everybody else has. Janet says she's got a daughter that's got asthma and has problems breathing. You know, if your school is literally telling you that in order for your kid to get an education, she's going to have to put her health at risk, then you've got a lawsuit. I mean, 100%. Most states have a public education amendment to their constitution. Did you know that? Almost every
I
state
didn't.
I can think of has an amendment to their own state constitution guaranteeing its citizens a free and fair public education. That combined with the idea that we'd like to keep our kids alive is grounds for you to sue. 100%. You should send that lawsuit to a judge and let a judge say, your doctor's dumb. The having a mask is more important than your kid's life. I want to see it. I want to see that in writing. There's plenty of legal groups out there that are bringing these challenges nonstop right now. You could probably find one that can do it, or Google online, find a blank form petition for your district. Take your 75 or $175 up to the courthouse and file it yourself. Most courthouses have waivers if you can plead poverty to a poverty affidavit you could sign. So lots of options out there, folks. Just keep pushing if
There
it's
are
worth it
tons
to
of
you.
attorneys out there right now that are like, if this is what you're dealing with, we can help you. And there are a bunch. So seriously,
Bobby
uh,
talking about the governor in Kentucky, and gosh, you're right. I mean, guys, Kaylee, what did I used to put a hashtag on Facebook all the time? Elections have consequences, right? So secure your elections in your states, number one. And number two, get out the votes. Get your butt to the poll and watch, be a poll watcher, be a volunteer. Take the steps that are necessary to ensure your republic. Because listen, if you're out there saying, I'm willing to get a gun and go march and yada yada, I am too. But I'm willing to do a whole bunch of things before we get there. I mean, surely if you're willing to take your gun and go march, you're
yeah.
willing to do the other things that are necessary too. And when it gets to the point where that doesn't matter anymore, you're not going to be the only one in the street. There's going
Oh
to be
no, honey.
there's going to be literally tens of millions of us. And I don't care how many planes and nukes and everything else Joe Biden has, that ain't going to end well for anybody. But we ain't there. Come on, folks. So, DHS, if you're listening and you're seeing me, we are on to your stupid ass games. Fed, 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 fed. It's a joke. And Q, if you can see me, come talk to me. I'd love to have a conversation.
Quack.
Quack, quack.
Anyways, the last thing I want to say before we close here is that there's strength in numbers. We
Yes.
started on that basis and we're still there, people. If you're going to school board meetings, if you're going to rallies, wherever you're going, there is strength in numbers. Find like minded people around you and don't go by yourself. Go with as many people as you can go with, because I'm telling you, there is a presence behind a large group of people. At a school board meeting, 10 people that all believe the same thing is a large group of people. So if you can get 10, that's huge. There's strength in numbers. Do not forget that, no matter what you're doing.
Can I say one last thing about that? We
I
focus,
suppose.
this country is about the efficacy of the adversarial system. It's about a good idea and a bad idea coming together. We usually get to a decent idea, right? But at the same time, I want you all to hear me. If you have somebody in your school district, your superintendent, your principal, your you know your congressman, whoever that you can count on, if you're in Jim Jordan's district, if you're in, you know, my school district has a fantastic superintendent. If you have somebody you can count on, let them know. For crying out
Yeah.
loud, if they're a politician, send them some cash with a note. Send their campaign some money and put a note with it that says, "Hey, I appreciate you.
Or
Thank
just a
you."
note.
Just a note. I just sent a note to our superintendent the other day and I said, "Thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing to stand in the gap because I know you don't do it pressure free. I know that it's
Yeah.
hard on you. I know that you're facing all kinds of difficulty. Just to ensure that the pedagogical interests of your school are maintained, you're going through hell in a lot of cases. And I appreciate
Yeah.
that. So step up, stand up, show some appreciation for those folks, and don't forget about them because they need that encouragement. It's not what fuels them, but it certainly gives them some relief, and it ensures that we know that they know that we are here.
And paying attention.
Input on Rand Paul before we go. Rand Paul's Rand Paul, man. He was raised by Ron Paul. Are you kidding me? They're primarily libertarian. They really love the Constitution. There's so many things that I like about them. There's some things I wonder sometimes how they even get out of bed in the morning. I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, let me say this. Rand Paul got accosted by a bunch of people outside of the Capitol one night, and there wasn't anybody standing up for him. I wish I could have been there because I would have. I would have stood up for him. Of course, I probably would stand up for Nancy Pelosi too. I'd probably let her get smacked around a little bit, but no, I'm just kidding. I think that they all need protection. I think challenging or threatening people in Congress in a political position with physical violence is reprehensible all the way across the board. But Rand Paul is doing enough good in Congress right now that I'm a fan for now. You know, I guess that's the best way to say it.
We go day by day, right?
Day to day with some of these yahoos.
Yeah.
I like Jimmy's comment about Q. Q is such a mess. Good grief. I can't even
Okay,
believe it.
let's go before
We
you get
done.
into a
We
nut. We're
love you
done.
all. I love you all. Thanks for having me on and listening to me rant for 55 minutes. I love you. I really do. Thank you.
We're leaving. Bye.